What Kirk Frost just shared about love and hip-hop will astound you. What if I told you that everything you thought was true about the program was actually a meticulously crafted illusion, and that the drama that had us riveted to our screens wasn't totally real? We've watched the pain, betrayal, and startling twists play out on television for years. Your opinion of reality TV will be permanently changed by what Kirk Frost has finally revealed. Kirk asserts that behind the scenes, everything is a fake, despite the producers selling us tales of love, treachery, and redemption. Reportedly, violent altercations and emotional outbursts were faked to increase viewership. So why come forward now and divulge these secrets after all this time? The machine that changed Kirk Frost's life is revealed in a must-watch drama, and his disclosures are more than simply a shock. They're a wake-up call. He just disclosed something that will completely upend reality television as we know it. So if you believe you know everything there is to know about love and hip-hop, you should reconsider. In actuality, it all started too subtly when he began posting vague hints on social media in the form of a string of unclear tweets, while viewers were still in shock over the drama of the previous season of Love and Hip Hop. In those early days, the whole fan base was holding their breath as rumors swirled about whether it was a major fight with a castmate, a new adored child, or another Rashida scandal. No one could have foreseen the truth, even if everyone on the internet had theories. Kirk's claim that he had discovered something much larger than himself was shocking, not the fact that he had gotten himself into trouble once more. Kirk was reportedly becoming increasingly agitated behind the scenes by. He started examining old contracts, watching videos, and talking to people who had long since moved on from love and hip-hop, according to those close to him. He said that everything he observed, including narratives he believed to be natural and emotional conversations he believed to be genuine, was meticulously orchestrated. What he found really stunned him. Kirk was certain that Love and Hip Hop was a fully realized stage drama, posing as real life, not merely a reality show with some artistic editing. Since he had been a part of the system, Kirk initially attempted to keep these facts to himself while battling his guilt and wondered if he was partly to blame for not speaking out sooner. Kirk had been playing the part, taking the money, and letting the program describe his life as it saw fit for years. But as the pieces fell into place, Kirk began to view himself in a new light. He was manipulated deeply and was no longer merely a participant. He was now a pawn. It seemed like an honest, raw moment at the time, but now I know better, Kirk said, recalling a particular instance in which a cast member broke down in tears during a reunion event. According to Kirk, producers fed them lines, promoted fights, coerced other cast members into parts that didn't suit them, and even manufactured controversies. Found that everything had been staged. Producers had stoked the fires backstage while the movie was being filmed, and even reshot some of the most important sequences to make them look more dramatic. Kirk also began to suspect that the show's creators were up to more than just trying to boost ratings. They were playing a much larger game by tightly controlling the narrative, allowing any cast member to be either a hero or a villain, and using a single edit to either help or hurt someone's career. This discovery was both liberating and horrifying for Kirk because he realized that he was just a man caught in a web of manipulation and no longer saw himself as the villain that fans had come to love or despise. He became adamant and made the decision to come clean, but he wanted to do it right. It wasn't going to be a little confession on a podcast or a rage on social media. When Kirk finally spoke, he wanted to make sure his words would have the most impact possible, order his thoughts, and collect as much proof as he could. He began compiling whatever he could, including old footage, leaked emails, cast member statements, and even covered recordings he had made during filming. Clearing his name wasn't the only goal. He also wanted to expose a system that he believed had been taking advantage of him and many others for years. In a brief video that was uploaded to his social media accounts, Kirk made an enigmatic announcement, which was his first significant step. With the words, "You've watched the drama, but what if I told you it was never real? What if I told you the truth about love and hip-hop is darker than you ever imagined?" He hinted at an impending bombshell for years. The video ended suddenly, leaving fans to wonder what happened. As Kirk discovered more about the inner workings of reality TV, he came to understand the danger he was facing against a formidable machine that had transformed the show into a meticulously crafted illusion. Everyone was eager to find out what Kirk Frost would reveal, and the internet was on fire. The conjecture intensified when the story was taken up by fans, bloggers, and even major news agencies. Probably expecting that Kirk's moment of defiance would end, the producers of Love and Hip Hop said nothing, but Kirk wasn't backing down. In fact, he was just getting started. At this point, things started to go south. Behind-the-scenes sources claimed that some contacted Kirk and urged him to change his mind, while others tried to discredit him by spreading false information that Kirk was only attempting to remain relevant. Kirk Frost, who had previously been positioned as Love and Hip Hop's constant villain, was now positioned as the whistleblower who would expose the show's most sinister truths. By now, Kirk had the receipts and was ready to show them off to the world. Since he believed that the truth was more important than anything else, Kirk was totally dedicated to his objective, even though he understood that speaking up could terminate his television career and result in legal issues, financial hardships, and a lifetime of being blacklisted by the business. Would come clean at some point, and the consequences would be more catastrophic than anyone could have imagined. It was like opening a Pandora's box when Kirk Frost went public. His first post and mysterious remarks were just the start. The information he disclosed presented a picture far more scandalous than fans could have ever envisioned. He quickly published audio samples, emails, old contracts, and bits of his evidence. The well-known hotel battle from a few seasons ago, where Kirk and Rashida's animosity hit an all-time high and culminated in a furious argument in an opulent room, was one of the first shocking revelations he made. Kirk revealed that the entire situation was carefully organized, although people were fed up with picking sides and debating nonstop on social media. The physical location, the alleged hotel suite, was actually a set made to seem like one, was fake, and the producers had spent hours advising Kirk and Rashida on what to say. Before the cameras ever rolled, the debate was rehearsed multiple times because it seemed so unfiltered and intense. Kirk also asserted that before the show, several of the cast members weren't even friends or rivals. He said that to provide the impression of depth, the producers had deliberately put people together and fed them lines. Kirk said that charges of unpaid child support, conflicts over money, financial drama, and secret bank accounts were all orchestrated. He provided documents that allegedly showed that some of the material presented on the episode was either completely made up or highly altered. Personal conflict. Members of the cast who had never met before were made to pretend to have a long history filled with alliances, betrayals, and resentments. This network of fabricated connections transformed the program into a meticulously regulated drama machine, with each scenario crafted to provoke the highest amount of indignation. Hashtags like #KirkFrostExposed went viral on social media, and viewers of #LoveAndHipHopWise began rewatching previous episodes, closely examining each disagreement, heartfelt confession, and emotional exit. Memes spread like wildfire, and situations that had looked real suddenly appeared suspiciously staged, leaving Kirk at the heart of a storm he could barely control. Kirk asserted that producers often gave them talking points right before filming, which drove cast members to attack one another over money, and that the bank statements that appeared on screen during episodes were manipulated to make the figures more shocking. While some accused him of lying to save his reputation, others applauded his courage for stating the truth. Kirk's disclosures, however, started drawing attention to other cast members who hadn't been invited to do so. The drama abruptly drew long-abandoned former show stars back in, and several of them reluctantly admitted that Kirk wasn't lying. Speaking on the condition of anonymity, one former cast member admitted that producers had pushed them to act as though they were dating another co-star. As more people came forward, the plot changed from Kirk's personal grievances to a more thorough indictment of the show's production techniques, even though we had barely spoken before. Producers were accused of controlling the narrative, and the actors through manipulation and compulsion. Former crew members began to relate how they were instructed to edit specific shots to increase tension or to continue filming until they caught an explosive moment. One editor went so far as to recount how they were once given uncut film and instructed to make it appear. Kirk also criticized the producers for exploiting the cast's vulnerabilities, claiming that they specifically targeted people who were experiencing emotional or financial difficulties, since they knew that these individuals would be more obedient to absurd requests. Kirk admitted that he was excited to establish a reputation and earn a consistent income early in his hip-hop and romantic adventure, but as the years passed, he came to understand that the cost of being famous on the show was greater than he had ever anticipated. "They don't just want you to be yourself," he remarked. "Be a figure over whom they possessed authority." And that authority extended outside the set. Kirk revealed that the cast members' social media accounts were monitored and occasionally managed by the production crew, which curated content to align with the show's narrative. Cast members were pressured to take down anything they shared that didn't suit the current plot. Kirk even hinted that the show's public relations team orchestrated several of the controversies that went viral online during the season to generate excitement by fabricating leaks. Kirk said that although they intended the audience to think they were witnessing the actual event, it was all planned as more. Despite the silence from Love and hip-hop producers, Kirk's disclosure started to garner attention from the industry. It was covered by conventional news publications, entertainment blogs, and celebrity gossip websites. Fans weren't buying the network's evasive explanation that they stand by the integrity of their programs. Beyond Kirk's personal account, the fury was widespread, with many people questioning if many of their favorite moments were genuinely made up. Kirk, however, stuck to his principles and spoke out in spite of what he called veiled threats from business insiders. In one of his films, Kirk admitted that he was sick of living a lie and that he knew he would be banned. "I'd rather tell the truth and face the consequences than keep pretending," he declared, and the list of repercussions was already growing. Longtime industry acquaintances started calling him. His appearances on other reality series were abruptly canceled, and there were whispers that the network was thinking of suing him. But Kirk was urged to continue by his closest admirers, followers, and several former cast members who said, "Don't let them silence you." With the newest controversy taking center stage, Kirk's stakes had never been higher. By claiming to have information that might completely alter our perception of reality TV, he alluded to much more significant discoveries to come. His social media messages garnered thousands of likes and shares, his videos were viewed by millions, and his fan base grew over the course of the weeks. Still, it was unclear how far Kirk would go, what the final consequences would be, and whether his revelations would actually bring about change or just fade away. Kirk Frost's insights about hip-hop and love began to ripple across the entertainment business, and it became clear that the world would never be the same again, whether he won or lost. By now, he had supplied so much evidence that even industry insiders, fans, and critics could not ignore it. Not only was the story gaining traction on social media, but it was also being picked up by mainstream media, which explored Kirk's accusations in further detail, aired new pieces that revealed the negative aspects of reality TV, and debated whether or not programs like Love and Hip Hop had overreached themselves in their pursuit of viewers. He was greeted almost immediately by an industry that looked to be closing in on him, although viewers and supporters praised him for finally coming up and exposing the truth. Longtime business acquaintances discreetly departed. His calls to old colleagues went unanswered, and his appearances on other shows were unexpectedly canceled. The message was unambiguous. Kirk was no longer wanted in the reality TV industry, which was a scandal in and of itself. However, in interviews and online blogs, Kirk steadfastly refused to back down, eloquently detailing what it was like to work under the relentless pressure of producers who dominated every facet of his on-screen life, discussed how it affected his relationships, family, and even his mental health over time. Although Kirk acknowledged his shortcomings, he said that the producers had fabricated scenarios that made him seem far worse than he actually was and exaggerated his flaws, turning him into a caricature of the unfaithful spouse and the everlasting villain. The fact that other cast members, both past and present, began to voice their support for Kirk's assertions was one of the more surprising developments. Some came forward to back Kirk's assertions, while others remained loyal to the franchise. A former cast member revealed that she was instructed to initiate altercations with another celebrity on the. Insiders began speculating that executives were holding emergency meetings to discuss damage control because advertisers were nervous about being associated with a show under such intense scrutiny. Of course, the network remained silent, making only vague statements about their commitment to producing high-quality entertainment. He stated, "I never hated her. I didn't even know her. The producers encouraged him to say these things so we have a reason to fight on television." Another cast member said that his supposed affair was a fabricated plot. The entertainment business seemed intent on erasing Kirk, but in spite of the turmoil and criticism, he discovered an unanticipated source of support in his fans. As a whistleblower who dared to come forward online at considerable personal risk, he was embraced by a large number of followers who showered his social media accounts with supportive messages. Independent media outlets began spreading Kirk's proof to make sure it couldn't be easily buried even when criticism started to drop their sponsorships, and hashtags like #TeamKirk and #ExposeRealityTV trended for weeks. Rashida, whose relationship with Kirk has long been at the heart of the drama on the show, came forward in a startling way in a rare joint interview. Although the turmoil of their on-screen romance had dominated her public image for years, she has now spoken candidly about the deception they both endured. Sitting next to each other, Kirk and Rashida talked about how producers would turn their personal problems into inflated plots, invent cheating scandals, and pit them against one another. Although it turned out that everything was part of the screenplay they gave us, Rashida admitted that there were moments when she genuinely thought Kirk was acting behind her back. Feed artificial drama fans who had long chastised Rashida for being with Kirk through multiple scandals were deeply moved by the news that she was also a victim of the system. Instead of seeing her as culpable in an upheaval, many began to see her as just another player in a game that was far bigger than her marriage. His assertions were given legitimacy by Kirk and Rashida's united front, which also shifted the focus from Kirk's mere justifications to the idea that there might be a significant issue with the way these performances are run. The crisis didn't seem to be abating as the weeks stretched into months. Kirk kept releasing new information, and followers kept dissecting every revelation blog, podcast, and reality TV gossip. YouTube channels were dominated by discussions about the alleged manipulations of Love and Hip Hop. Previously praised for their skill in crafting gripping storylines, the producers were suddenly depicted as ruthless con artists, willing to risk the reputations of their actors to get ratings. Beyond Hip Hop and Love, the conversation sparked debates on the ethics of reality TV in general. After being banned, Kirk found a way to continue speaking out by launching his platform, a YouTube channel, where he discussed the bigger issues facing the entertainment industry in addition to his experiences. In a widely shared video, he described how Kirk began collaborating with advocacy organizations that promoted improved safeguards for reality TV contestants at the same time. He pushed for legislation that would stop producers from putting actors in degrading roles or enticing them into abusive contracts. In addition to using his recently acquired platform to voice his complaints, Kirk also attempted to bring about long-lasting change in a field that has too often allowed producers to influence actors' actions, alter video to create a distorted timeline, and even spread unfounded stories to inflame hostility. Millions of people watched the film, which led to numerous requests for reality TV to be more transparent. Though not everyone agreed with Kirk, he had labored in the background. He was accused of hypocrisy by some former cast members, who pointed out that he had benefited from the same system that he was now attacking. Others questioned his intentions, believing that he was using his candidacy as a means of maintaining his public profile. Kirk appeared resolute in the face of these critiques, asserting that his objective was never self-interest, but rather to draw attention to the drawbacks of reality TV and make sure that future contestants wouldn't have to undergo what he and Rashida did. Kirk's life appeared to be drastically different when things began to calm down. The landscape of love, hip-hop, and reality television in general was ultimately altered by Kirk Frost's choice to speak out. Viewers couldn't relearn the truths he'd shown, and the business couldn't just dismiss his accusations. One thing was clear: Kirk's account was a turning point, even though it was unclear if actual reform would come next. The character that audiences had grown accustomed to from Love and hip-hop was aware that his time in reality TV was finished, and he had no plans to return. Rather, he'd accepted his new position as a vocal critic of the sector, someone who stood to gain greatly by promoting accountability and openness, and who had nothing left to lose. The truth behind the tale, the story behind the iCal, is that once reality and fantasy were exposed, viewers would never watch their favorite shows in the same way again. But do you believe that Kirk's disclosures have altered the way you view hip-hop and love? Is it still possible for these reality shows to be more truthful with their audience, or are they just too far gone? Please let us know where you stand and share your ideas in the comments area. If you want more fascinating behind-the-scenes details and thrilling tales, don't forget to click the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Keep asking, watching, and talking until the next event happens because I don't want to miss it. See you in the next one.